My name's Tim Gadzella. I'm a PhD student, a first-year PhD student in the Department of Mechanical Engineering. I work in a lab that's based out of the Cates building because we share a lot of our research with people in dentistry and orthodontics. So my supervisor is Dr. Dan Romanek in mechanical engineering and in dentistry. So I came to Edmonton from my hometown of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, which is just down Highway 16 from Edmonton. When I was growing up, what I wanted to be changed a lot. My parents, they say, when you were growing up, you're always interested in dentistry. So I think when I was about 6, I said I wanted to be a dentist. And then that changed a lot. Even through my time studying engineering, that changed a lot. I wanted to be a rock star at one point. I think I wanted to be a house builder, and that was how I said I wanted to work in construction. I wanted to be a teacher and an author and a whole bunch of other things. Even when I started studying engineering, I wasn't sure if I wanted to work in medicine or in engineering. And then I just keep coming back to these problems of dentistry or related to dentistry. So I started out wanting to be a dentist, went through a whole lot of changes, decided to become an engineer, and then became an engineer that works on dental problems. So what are my interests? What do I do for fun? I love sports, particularly football. You know, growing up in Saskatchewan, football is pretty huge. I participate in sword fighting in the historical European martial arts. So you can kind of think of like Lord of the Rings meets Olympic fencing. That's basically what we do, and it's a lot of fun. I really like that because I study biomechanics, and sword fighting is biomechanics in action with competition and rules. So that's a lot of fun. Other than that, I like adventuring, and that's in the form of tabletop games, in the form of video games, actually going out and hiking and riding my bike and kind of exploring. Those are really the most fun things that I can think of to do, and a part of that then becomes telling stories. So my favorite thing to do, I think, is to sit down and play video games and talk with my friends online, or go out somewhere with them and go for a hike or go exploring a city where we've never been before, and then wrap up the day by coming and watching a really, really bad horror movie on TV. Well, my job, scientific literacy, is my job. A huge part of being a graduate student is training to read and understand scientific articles and textbooks and other people's work. Yeah, it's a huge part of our job because we need to be able to read to understand what's happening in our field and do our job. But beyond that, scientific literacy breeds curiosity. And curiosity is the predominant driving force in my career. And I think that curiosity is a beautiful thing that drives discovery, which is beautiful and useful. And all of that comes down to being able to explore the world as other people see it, and that's scientific literacy. So if you're literate in science and you understand it, even if you don't know exactly what somebody is talking about, it gives you the tools to ask questions. And if we don't have questions, we're lost. So scientific literacy is the most important thing in my life, I think. I think there are a couple. The first would be the Artemis Fowl books by Ian Colfer. Because Artemis is this scientific mathematical mind, but for him, science unlocks the world of magic and of the Fae. And that's super cool, and that's sort of, to me, the intertwining of things that we can't understand yet, being magic or whatever you want to call it, and science, which is the world of describing what we can understand. I think there's a real cool marriage between the two in those books, and they're just a good read. The other one is the Foundations trilogy. And I had it in my mom got it for me. It was this big, thick paperback, but it's about people throughout history who find themselves sort of at the whims of fate. but there's this underlying idea that mathematics and science can and has to an extent predicted those things. But there are points where the math is wrong, or it appears to be wrong, and everything goes haywire. But the exploration always seems to find a way. So I think Foundations trilogy would be my other favorite science and engineering book for that reason. So as somebody who works in biomechanics, which can be very deterministic, biodiversity is simultaneously the greatest thing and the biggest challenge, because we want to quantify things and understand the mechanics of what's happening, but life introduces difference that we can't always understand or control for. So biodiversity it's the introducing noise into our measurements and introducing randomness, but it gives us opportunities to learn more about the world, because there's so much more to learn about. So for example, let's say I'm going to go study a dental model with some mice. Mice are fairly easy to get along with. They don't have a lot of strong opinions. You can usually sort of do what you need to do with mice without having to get them in a clinic and asking them for their insurance or whatever. But the element of biodiversity that introduces is that mice are in fact not people. So we can learn things from mice, but there isn't always a one-to-one comparison with people. So it gives us opportunities, but it also gives us really important challenges. In everyday life, biodiversity is an underlying element of the world that we live in, and is pretty spectacular in the results that it produces. So outside dealing with biomechanics, biodiversity is something that we're awash in all the time. And if you can sit back and observe the beauty of the universe, I think it's an integral part of that.